All right. Metatron's Cube, how's it going? North Free, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. Yeah, so this is where we left off last time. Got pretty far with sort of the outlining of everything. I'll definitely need to do some more outlining, and then I'll probably start to spot the blacks and then do some texturing. So I'm hoping maybe today and another time, and I might be able to finish this up. The trickiest part's definitely going to be these clouds, because you can handle those a couple different ways. But Blue Teddy Narrations, thank you. How's it going? It is a relaxing Sunday afternoon, but my AC is also out, so it is a toasty Sunday afternoon. As far as what I'm using, just the standard Kalinsky Sable number 2 and Dr. Martin's P.H. Martin's black. So I'm going to put in some music because you don't want to hear the hum of my computer, I don't think. There we go. Alrighty. What just happened? Oh. So is Sunday at 2 a good time? Seems like a pretty convenient time in between lunch and dinner on a Sunday. Yeah, I know. It's one more thing. The busted AC, yeah. So I'm gonna just pretend I'm in this very desert area that Horace is in. So I'm method drawing right now. I don't know if that's a thing, method drawing. Alrighty. So I guess I'll start with some of these roots. I can stay pretty loose with the roots, so it's a good place to sort of warm up and get into the art flow, as Frankie B talks about. Number 2 is definitely the one brush you can get like the thinnest lines you could possibly get, even with, like, if you were using a really thin micron, you're still, as far as I'm concerned, not going to get the thinnest you can with like a number 2 brush. Sometimes that's not great because you do need to reproduce that line, but when you're doing textures, it's always good to have that variation. Method acting. My fellow should pretend he has feet. No comment? Am I allowed to make comments about the feet thing? Yeah, it's funny. It's become sort of this unspoken, like, I don't know. Like, if as an artist, you're like, okay, I've got to learn to draw feet, because you don't want to be lumped into, into that sort of category of like, he doesn't draw feet, or if he does, they're poorly done. So drawing feet, I spent some time very specifically being able to draw feet, but I don't want to say anything negative about anybody else. I think if I can get like 100,000 subscribers officially, then I can start saying negative things, and I think that pays dividends at that point. I'll just stick to like my John Buscema and Walt Simonson. And although Simonson definitely, how he drew feet, I could actually see that influencing some of that, Mignola style feet, that very, very tiny little, I don't call them triangle feet, but hyper stylized feet for sure. I don't think I can get away with it, although, as we can see here, I'm not drawing feet. Oh no. I guess I can do like a real quick little tutorial on feet just to show. I don't know. Oh, you know what? I did want to show this. So I have resin model kits for Horace, and I have other model kits too. But something I've sort of tried to have in production for a couple of years now finally went into production. I got an email. So let me see if I can share this. Yep. So this is a 3D model I did a couple of years ago, and I've been trying to get it sort of produced at a reasonable cost or whatever with the company that I use, but I just got an email saying that they would be putting that into production. So it's a two-parter, and as you can see, half and half. You can throw them up on the wall, half on one wall, half on the other. You can have them hanging from the ceiling or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Blue Teddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's been years at this point, and I didn't think I'd get it made, but let's see. North, you should check out PPOXP's video from yesterday. Roy Thomas going over Avengers 57 to 58 page by page as he explains the creation of the Vision. Oh man, I love that stuff. Yeah, something else I've been thinking about doing is, aside from these inking drawing demos or whatever you want to call them, is sort of studying older artists. Because what I do is, daily I'll be drawing, 4 hours a day or whatever the case may be. But I always allot like maybe an hour and a half to essentially study. So I'll pull out old comic books of artists that I love and kind of see, how they drew eyes or how they drew feet or how they drew buildings. And I'll use that, sometimes not really as reference, but you can learn a lot that way. And I take notes, so I might do more of that where I sort of take old artists and dissect it. So, we can see how J. Scott Campbell, how he handles eyeballs or something like that. Blue Teddy, they make cool bookends. I never thought of that. That's really interesting. They would really make cool bookends. I might have to build something extra to get that to work, but that could be really cool. That's a great idea. Thank you. Let's see. Will that model be available for the release of the comic? No. I mean, these models take a long time to get made. I'm hoping, by early next year. That's my hope. We'll see. This company does a lot of really low run, high quality models. So getting in the production schedule is tough. So I'm hoping, early next year, but we'll see. sometimes you load up your brush just a little too much and it's hard to get that point. So I gotta take some of that ink off of the edge. Alright, so looking pretty good on that. I'm gonna do some of this background. Just to give it some space, three-dimensional space. So I'll do these thicker lines and then I'll go in later and I'll fade into them and out of them with hatching and maybe some stippling. That might be overkill with some stippling, but we'll see. Oh, I'm off the camera. Sorry about that. I like thinking that, beneath all of this sand is actually just metal. That's why I put this little, it's not a manhole cover, but it's just some sort of entryway with these pipes coming out of it, So I'm just imagining the sand is just piled up high on metal. I'm going to work on this guy's feet. Speaking of feet. I was thinking for this, it's more like just kind of ropes, just binding sort of loose canvas or cloth or something like that. So for that, you gotta stay a little loose. Kind of jumping around a little bit. Slowly dial in details throughout the whole thing. I know some people sort of start on one part and they basically finish the whole drawing, piece by piece or character by character, but I find that, especially in grayscale, you really want to know what's up against something else. So if you spend too much time on this character here and you put too many blacks in it, and then you go to the back, like, oh geez, it doesn't work against this background or that background. So that's why I do everything roughly at the same time. That way I know that, okay, I need him to stand out in front of this. So the grayscale value and the contrast of him really has to be dialed up a notch compared to what's in the background. And I think if you just focus on one aspect too much, then that'll happen, or could happen, I should say. That's right, I put some texture in this canvas in the back last time. So now I know kind of how to handle that. try not to texture until I'm sort of at the next phase for sure. That's not the fun stuff, but that is definitely the last thing that that helps you separate, you know, character from character, texture to texture. I'm sorry, yeah, texture. So some of these roots I didn't draw super detailed, so I'm kind of working them in where I think they're best used. For him, we can do a little more here. These wheels have these little notches in them. I think he's completely outlined at this point. We got the hands outlined. We have the roots outlined. This guy is getting there. Quite a bit of black on this. Number 3, when are you going to draw some of Hoover's gizmos and gadgets you've alluded to, his superpower? Yes. They do, I'm trying to think of the first time you really see them. I would say issue 2, you do see one thing, and then issue 3 a little more. That's going to be, he's not going to use that a ton, but he is going to use it. So in the first issue, we don't actually see any of it. But for some of these, you know, these extra marketing pieces or just storytelling pieces that I'm doing, I will be, you know, showing more of his gadgets and the things he builds. And then whenever we get into the ongoing series, we'll learn a lot more about that, about how he does it, why he does it. And we'll learn along with Horace. So he, you know, a lot of the stuff he doesn't actually know. So we'll be learning his origin as he learns it. So I'm not doing zombie hands per se, but maybe desiccated. I'm going to imply like a desiccated hand, maybe mummy hand, but I don't want to do zombies per se. That's a whole other thing. Well, I don't know. The difference between zombies and mummies. I mean, undead people coming to life. The only difference is how they were, you know, buried, but there's still something cool about mummies. I'm doing a little too much detail. I got to get back to the bigger parts. You always got to make sure that even if it's a thread or a rope, that you put a shadow underneath it. Just no matter what it is, you've got to put a shadow. Sometimes that shadow doesn't have to be black. Obviously, it could be gray, but that's the best way to really show depth and form is with that shadow. got some more roots. I'm actually even doing a little bit of form shadow on the roots. Obviously I can't do that for everywhere because that would be a little insane. Plus it would be noise at that point if I just put these form shadows on all of the roots. But as long as you have them in just enough places, your eye will basically fill in the rest, and it'll understand that these are three-dimensional shapes instead of flat 2D lines. Flaps, like a ribbon or something. So this is where those thin, fine lines really come into play. This is when I show the softness of the sand. And this character does have quite a bit of black in him as well, because I'm assuming, or I'm sort of imagining that the light source is top right. I do that a lot, actually. Top right seems to be sort of my default. So he's going to have quite a bit of shadow interior. But what that does is puts him in shadow, and it also, you know, basically shines the light right on Horace. So I can really keep, you know, white parts to Horace. And that'll be a good contrast with this guy. As far as why he's mad, I'm guessing his AC went out as well, but I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see if that's why he's angry. Some more form shadows on his muscles a little bit. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do for that like headpiece he has. I don't want to just do something sort of made up, so I'll have to find actual like Sumerian symbols or something like that. That's too important to sort of leave as as made up or random. Alright, so we got some blacks in for this guy. We'll do a little bit of detail on this pyramid. And this is where you can really go overboard. I mean, it's stone, it's weathered stone, so you could just spend forever noodling on this and, you know, putting in textures and little marks, but ultimately that would be to the detriment of the piece, because you want to know it's there, you want to know what it is, you want to know the texture, but you definitely don't want your eyeball to go there. So you just got to be really aware of the contrast you put in this versus the contrast you put in him, and then the gray values. One thing for horse he will always have that really draws your eye to him, outside the colors, but in black and white, is these black shapes. So his helmet has this glass, and it's a black glass. So there's always going to be high contrast, visually interesting things in his helmet, and then underneath there, this is usually going to be in shadow. Just, you know, this huge shape is always going to be casting some sort of shadow underneath there. So that immediately draws your eye to him. And you really want a lot of broken lines too. You don't want to just do all these solid, straight lines. You just want to be random, which is always tough, consciously trying to be random, but that's where starting and stopping helps too. Because you spend too much time doing it, you're just going to start doing the same type of line over and over. But if you start and stop, your chances are a little better of coming up with a new squiggle or a new dot, slash, or something. And since the light's coming from top right, this is going to be lit, and this is going to be a little darker. So I'm going to put virtually no detail on this side, and then most of the detail is going to be on this side in shadow. I want to make sure this looks like it's metal. So I'll put just some little indications of like screws or bolts or something manufactured, just to drive that home a little bit. Of course, the shadow from these pipes. So I posted on Twitter I said, and learn everything, stop by the stream and learn everything about H.H. Holmes. I mean, H.H.Hoover. I don't know if anybody got that or not. I've always thought it was funny that, I thought it was interesting that H.H.Hoover and H.H. Holmes shared the same sort of alliteration. Does anybody know who H.H. Holmes is? He is, I guess he's considered sort of the first U.S. serial killer. It's a terrifying figure, but it was from like the 1890s, something like that. A lot of it was around Chicago's World Fair, but it's a pretty scary dude. It might be funny if somebody confuses H.H. Hoover with H.H. Holmes at some point, but that might be a little too real. I know. I didn't want to make it sound like I'm into serial killers or not, but the name popped up. That's all. Just the H's were funny. That's all. Don't worry. There's no serial killers. I don't think in horror. I shouldn't say that. There's gonna be a lot of stories. So. A lot of serious, a lot of funny, a lot of weird, so there's going to be all sorts of characters. And he's going to have to figure out how to deal with them. Yes, Blue Teddy, very fortunately. Yeah, that's not something I'd listen to or dabble in. I know a lot of people are into the true crime podcast things, but it's not really something I like. I do like paranormal, supernatural stuff though. That's sort of my bent, when it comes to that kind of stuff. Which, without a doubt, there'll be a lot of influence that I'll take into the Horace Hoover comic, without a doubt. Ghost stories and weird supernatural events, things like that. Alright, I think I'm not done in the background, but that's a good start, I think. I will go back and do another level, but we're all sort of building up these main three characters sort of at the same time with the same level of detail. I should probably figure out how I'm gonna do this smoke, but I'm gonna hold off on that because I might actually redraw that. It might even look a little too uniform. Maybe the smoke is actually moving to the left or something like that, kind of like how I have it here. Instead of just, it's almost an exact inversion of the pyramid, which I don't think I like that. So I might actually revisit that. Alright, so I'm going to do some more of this sand, which might not be the most fun thing in the world to watch, but there's a fair amount of it that I'm going to have to do. I'm also at this point with the background, it's always a good time to, like, you can pop things forward. So like his leg, I know there's going to be a lot of white here. And just to even make it better, you know, I'll put the background, a little bit of gray in there, and that'll pop that leg even further forward. And down here, it's going to be in shadow, so I actually want to do the opposite of that. Let's see, North Free, Paranormal, X-Files, and Influence. Yeah, I love all of that kind of stuff. I mean, not necessarily aliens, but paranormal. So like the X-Files stuff that wasn't always aliens, just the sort of weird stuff. I loved the X-Files. I like occult, supernatural type stuff. But I also like, you know, space adventures and, you know, old alien gods from different, you know, from other dimensions and things like that. So the thing about this book is, course, it really lends itself to any kind of story that I want to do, and that was really important for me when I was figuring out how I was going to handle this. I want to be able to do just a regular little mystery. I want to do a ghost story. I want to do a crazy story, you know, like world-ending, universe-ending story. And how I have things set up and with his powers and sort of the rules of the world, that absolutely can happen. So that was with intention for sure. And so for this line here, again, this is probably going to be probably one of the brightest parts, and I actually leave a break in it, so that break basically signifies light. So that break will actually look like a lot of light hitting that edge. All right, where are we lacking? You know what, I will do a little bit of this background. Now, since this is in the background, I want to make these lines as thin as I can, really. Which means I gotta sharpen up my brush. You just have to have the right amount of ink, and you have to sharpen it. It looks like I waste a lot of ink, but that's really the only way you can do this. So I'll just very randomly just put some edges. And I probably won't do any actual quote-unquote detail in the background here. These are just going to be these lines. Might do a little bit of stippling, but other than that, really, really light on the detail. That way it really gets pushed into the background. See, North Free, Hoover in space, when, I mean, I want to do all of that kind of stuff. I think I've mentioned in the past, but as far as the character of H.H.Hoover, he's sort of a combination in my head of some characters, you know, and one of them is kind of like a Spaceman Spiff type character in certain situations. So because of that, I've always I've always imagined him in some sort of like more of adventure type things. You know, he's and in his space, maybe it's not the space that we are thinking of necessarily. This isn't, you know, Buck Rogers or anything like that, or Flash Gordon, but there could be a universe that is very similar to that. So for all intents and purposes, it functions as sort of like futuristic space adventure. But it's definitely going to be a long time before that happens. I have a lot of issues that I need to get through. And we got the 5-issue miniseries and then the ongoing. And the ongoing is whenever we're going to sort of explore a lot of, like I said, his origins, his powers, and, you know, the surrounding world. In the meantime, there's going to be mysteries and characters and definitely some adventures. But it'll take a while. Alrighty, what do I want to do? At this point, I would usually stop, get some coffee, maybe mull over my life decisions, check an anatomy book on how to draw feet. I would do a few things, but I'm streaming, so I gotta keep moving forward. I do have to look up that though. Offline, I'll do that. Like some Sumerian letter or symbol or something like that. That's right, Blue Teddy. That is a daily occurrence, many, many times a day. So I am going to put a little bit of detail just on this edge. But it's still got to be random, kind of choppy, but definitely need to pull that out to show that it's on a completely different plane than the other side, outside of just the more texture. So this should look a little more three-dimensional after I do this. Yeah, so we have a nice edge on that. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'm going to put a little bit of grayscale in that. That's the very, very far background. I could leave that to color, but I don't want to. So I'm just going to put some hatching just to push that back. Because that'll also pop his arm forward. And I do have some pencil hatching here, which I use as a guideline, but I obviously don't use a ruler. So yeah, so that popped his arm in this forward, which is good. Getting some depth. Trying to save the fun parts for last because I don't want to do the fun parts. The fun parts are always his helmet with the glass, you know, getting these really black spots. Like this will be fun to do his anatomy, like doing the gradients outside of these dark shadows will be nice. It'll be fun, I should say. Alright, this is where I gotta step back for a minute. Just kind of take a look at the whole thing. See where I'm at. Okay. So I think he's going to need some more shadow. Underneath him, just to give him some more weight. No, I need some more ink. I just can't help it. I just put a little bit of detail in his wrapped up leg. Put a little more detail in this hand here. Kind of left this one alone. Actually, I'm not a big fan of like dry brush, so I try to avoid that at all cost. Let's see, North Free. Do you play this calming, almost elevator-like music while you drill on too, or do you crank up the heavy metal? So I love very heavy music. I listen to hardcore, old school hardcore. So if anybody knows what that is, Earth Crisis, Sick of It All, Orange 9. Bands like that. I also listen to jazz, though, honestly. This, unfortunately, we only have a few options for streaming art. So this was I think the most conducive for this kind of thing. But when I work, yeah, I listen to a lot of different stuff, but I do love jazz. Again, sort of old school jazz. I like probably from like 1945 to 1965. Miles Davis, Bill Evans, all the greats. But yeah, I do love heavy metal. Punk, yeah. Looks like we're almost at an hour. Man, this hour does fly by, but I really want to keep myself to 1 hour for this. I think it'll still take at least one more session to get this done. I would say probably in another half. We'll see. Yeah, the hour flies by. Thanks everybody for stopping in. It makes the time go. And it's nice having company while I do this. I love the questions. Okay, so now I'm noodling on the edges because I don't want to do anything too big right before I finish. So Let's see. So this hand coming out. Definitely need some more detail, some texturing on this hand. Gonna have to differentiate it from the sand and from his ankle. And if the idea is that it's sort of like a desiccated maybe mummy or something like that, then I can put these little wrinkly details in there. Blue Teddy, thanks for doing draw streams. It's really helpful when you're learning to just get a bit nosy and see how people do it when they do. Yeah, absolutely. I would say one of the biggest things for me was watching Jim Lee's stream on Twitch. You know, when I was kind of doing comic books, and to see him from sketch to finished product, it was really helpful. So I mean, I hope this helps anybody, or at least if it's vaguely interesting, you know, to see the picture from the ground up, and then when it'll be colored, and then it'll be, you know, maybe a poster or something like that. Yeah, and if you have any specific questions about drawing or anything like that at all, I'd love talking about it. I'm definitely an art nerd, as they say, so it's something I love to talk about. Alrighty, maybe a few little stippling dots on this side, just to make sure you still know it's like maybe a sandstone or something like that. Is that what pyramids are made out of? That's a good question. Sandstone? I don't know. I am not sure. I might actually throw a little bit of maybe a pipe or something coming out of here, even more, just to show that it's not necessarily a standard pyramid. I'll work on that next time. Well, hopefully everybody has AC at home. I will suffer the rest of the day, but at least I'll have gotten some drawing done. And I know exactly what H.H.Hoover is thinking at this moment. That's his HVAC guy saying he can't come until Wednesday. I think I'm good. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Blue Teddy Narrations, North Free, Metatron's Cube, and anybody else who popped in. I appreciate it, and I will see you hopefully next week at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Thanks again, everybody. Bye.